Let me be honest with you right now. If you are sitting there thinking that you have waited too long to start saving for retirement, that the window has somehow closed on you, that everyone else got a head start while you were just trying to survive life, I need you to stay with me for the next few minutes because what I am about to share might completely change the way you think about where you are right now. Here's the truth that most financial content refuses to tell you. Starting late is not the same as starting too late. And there is a massive, critical difference between those two things that could mean the difference between a retirement you genuinely enjoy and one you constantly dread. So today, we are breaking down retirement planning specifically for people who are getting started later than they planned. No shame, no judgment, no complicated jargon that makes your head spin. Just real, actionable strategies that actually work when time is not on your side. Let me ask you something first. How many times have you heard someone say that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world? Probably about 1,000 times. And every single time, that advice was aimed at 22-year-olds fresh out of college who just landed their first job. But here you are, maybe in your 40s or 50s, and nobody is talking to you. Nobody is addressing the person who spent their 30s raising kids, paying off debt, going through a divorce, rebuilding after a job loss, or just trying to keep the lights on. You were not being irresponsible. You were being human. And now you are ready. That readiness? That actually counts for more than most people realize. So let us start with the mindset shift that has to happen before anything else, because without this, every strategy I give you will fall flat. Stop comparing your Chapter 3 to someone else's Chapter 8. The retirement savings comparison game is one of the most psychologically damaging things you can do to yourself right now. You see those articles that say the average person has this much saved by age 50 and you immediately feel behind, broken, or hopeless. But here is what those averages do not tell you. They include people who inherited money, people who had company pensions, people who never faced a medical emergency, people who had 2 incomes their entire adult life. Your situation is yours. Your path forward is yours. And your starting point today is the only thing that actually matters moving forward. Now let us talk about the real practical side of this. What can you actually do when you are starting later? First thing, and this is huge, the government actually built in a system specifically designed for people in your situation. It is called catch-up contributions. Once you hit age 50, the IRS allows you to contribute more money to your retirement accounts than younger workers are allowed to. For a traditional or Roth IRA, you can add an extra $1,000 per year on top of the standard limit. For a 401k, the catch-up contribution bumps your limit up by an additional several $1,000s per year beyond what everyone else can contribute. This is not a loophole or a secret. This is a rule that exists precisely because lawmakers understood that life happens, and people need a legitimate way to accelerate their savings in the final stretch. But you have to actually use it. Most people who are eligible for catch-up contributions never take advantage of them simply because they did not know the option existed. Now you do. Second strategy, and this one requires some honest self-reflection. You need to get ruthlessly clear about what your actual retirement looks like. Here's what I mean. A lot of people are saving for a retirement in their imagination, some vague future version of life that involves golf and beach vacations and no financial stress. But they have never sat down and calculated what that actually costs. So right now, I want you to think about a few things. Where do you want to live? Do you plan to downsize your home or maybe relocate somewhere more affordable? Do you have debt that will still exist when you retire or a plan to eliminate it before then? Will you work part-time in retirement or pursue something that generates even a modest income? The reason these questions matter is because retirement is not actually a single number. It is a lifestyle calculation. And when you run those real numbers for your specific situation, you might discover that your target is more achievable than you assumed. You might find that a combination of reduced expenses, a part-time income, Social Security benefits, and your savings gets you to a completely livable and comfortable retirement, even if your total savings balance feels intimidatingly low right now. Third, let us talk about Social Security because this is where late starters can actually make a strategic move that early starters often overlook. Every year, you delay claiming Social Security benefits past your full retirement age. Up until age 70, your monthly benefit increases. We are talking about roughly an 8% increase per year of delayed claiming. 8% guaranteed. That is an extraordinary return that you simply cannot find with the same level of certainty anywhere else. So if you can work a bit longer, even a couple extra years beyond when you plan to retire and delay your Social Security claim, the long-term payoff can be substantial and can significantly supplement whatever you have saved on your own. This is not about grinding yourself into the ground. This is about being strategic with timing. A few extra years of work combined with delayed claiming could translate into tens of thousands of dollars more in lifetime benefits. Now here is the emotional moment I want to address because I know it is sitting right underneath the surface for a lot of you watching this. There is guilt. There is shame. There is this inner voice that keeps reminding you of the time you spent not doing this, the years you lost, the decisions you made that maybe pulled money away from savings. And I want to speak directly to that voice right now. Guilt is not a financial strategy. It will not add a single dollar to your retirement account. What it will do is paralyze you, keep you in avoidance, and push this conversation even further down the road. The most expensive thing you can do right now is nothing. Every month you wait because you feel overwhelmed or ashamed costs you real money. So the antidote to guilt is action. Even if that action feels uncomfortably small at first, start with whatever number you can actually commit to. If that is $100 a month, that is where you start. You raise it when you can. You build the habit first, then you increase the amount over time. Small, consistent action beats occasional large action almost every time. And it builds momentum in a way that waiting for the perfect conditions never will. Let us talk about investment approach for a moment, because this is where late starters sometimes make a critical mistake that actually sets them back further. There is a temptation when you feel behind to chase higher risk investments hoping for a faster payoff. The logic makes emotional sense. You need to grow your money faster, so you take bigger risks. But here's the problem with that thinking. When you are younger, you have decades to recover from a major market drop. When you are in your 50s and planning to retire in 10 or 15 years, a catastrophic portfolio loss at the wrong time can absolutely derail your plans in a way that you cannot recover from. This is called sequence of returns risk, and it hits late starters disproportionately hard if they are not careful. The goal is not to be reckless with risk, but to be smart about it. A diversified investment approach that includes growth assets while also building in some stability makes far more sense than swinging for maximum returns on speculative bets. Slow and steady with consistent contributions will almost always outperform the dramatic peaks and valleys of high-risk gambling with your future. Now let us talk about something that has nothing to do with investment accounts, but could be one of the most powerful retirement moves you make: your home. If you own a home and have been building equity, that equity is part of your retirement picture. Downsizing at the right time can free up a significant lump sum of cash that you can then invest or use to fund early retirement years while your investment accounts continue to grow untouched. Relocating to a state or city with a lower cost of living can dramatically reduce how much you need to have saved in order to live comfortably. These are real levers that people with late starts can pull to change the math in their favor. The retirement planning conversation is not only about what is inside your brokerage account or your 401k, it is about the full picture of your financial life, and that picture often looks better than the single number panic spiral would have you believe. Let me give you a framework for thinking about all of this in a way that actually feels manageable. Think of your retirement plan as having 3 buckets. Bucket 1 is your savings and investments. This is your 401k, your IRA, any brokerage accounts you have. This is where catch-up contributions and consistent investing come into play. Bucket 2 is guaranteed income. This includes Social Security, any pension if you have one, and potentially an annuity if that makes sense for your specific situation. The strategic timing of when you claim these matters enormously. Bucket 3 is flexibility income. This is part-time work, freelance income, a side business, rental income, or any other way you might generate money in retirement that is not purely drawing down savings. This bucket is incredibly powerful for late starters because even a modest income in retirement dramatically reduces the pressure on buckets 1 and 2. When you look at retirement through all 3 of these buckets together, the picture often becomes far less frightening. You do not need bucket 1 to do everything if buckets 2 and 3 are contributing meaningfully. Now I want to talk about something that often gets completely ignored in retirement planning conversations, and that is the role of healthcare costs. For late starters, this is especially important. Healthcare is one of the largest expenses in retirement, and if you retire before 65, meaning before Medicare eligibility, you will need to find a way to cover your own health insurance. This can be surprisingly expensive and can absolutely derail a retirement plan if it is not accounted for. So as you are running your retirement numbers, make sure healthcare costs have a prominent place in that calculation. Budget conservatively, look into options through the healthcare marketplace, and factor in the timing of Medicare eligibility as part of your decision about when to retire. Here is where we land with all of this. You are not too late. The data, the tax code, the strategies, and the math all support the idea that meaningful progress is absolutely possible from wherever you are starting right now. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is real, but it is not insurmountable. And frankly, the people who find the most creative and effective paths through that gap are almost always the ones who refuse to let embarrassment or regret keep them in inaction. The single most powerful thing you can do today is start, not when you have it all figured out. Not when the market looks better. Not when you get that raise. Today. Open the account. Increase the contribution. Make the appointment with a financial advisor. Have the honest conversation with your partner about your retirement goals. Take one concrete step today. If this video helped you see your situation from a different angle, or if you have been holding on to shame about where you are with retirement savings, I genuinely want to hear from you in the comments below. Tell me where you are starting from. Tell me what strategy you are going to try first. This community is full of people who are figuring this out together, and your comment might be exactly what someone else needs to read today to take their own first step. And if you want to go even deeper on retirement planning strategies, I have put together a follow-up video that covers what to do in the 5 years right before you plan to retire. That link is sitting right there for you. Go watch it next because the final stretch is where these strategies really start to compound in your favor, and you do not want to miss any of them.